Peter. Okay, fine.
Okay, thanks.
All right, guys. So thanks for joining today, and I am pretty excited to share. This is my learning and some comments and how I prepared at times, but it's not the full story, And these are kind of notes actually, because in my limited experience and learning, I cannot completely describe these events because it takes a lot. So these are just my notes, and I'm sharing my notes on these races. There were total of four races, and I never really planned these races in one go. It just happened one after another, and all it started when I was doing a run with Kosik. He told me about Cocodona on Mission Peak, and then I looked up Cocodona, and I was not getting into Bigfoot due to some lottery things and looked like that at that time. So I joined Cocodona, and that's when it all started. And the advantage of doing four of them in sequence was that you just train for one, right? So, and all the training for the rest of the three kind of came free for me. And you all know that I don't train too much, but I trained for the first one, and the races itself became training for the following ones, and it kind of worked out. And that way, it was not too much of a Herculean effort because I only trained for the first one actually, and then it just followed through. Okay, let's get started. So I just in my notes, I just say these are random things, and I say no why because we kind of all are trail runners. I mean, I haven't delved into like why I run and all that. I find that stupid. We just run, we do it. Forget the why. So no why discussion here. Primarily, I'll be talking about the expectation and little bit of preparation, and then I see these races as problem solving, so I'll talk about problem solving. Then maintaining the attitude, gratitude, and there are some more topics down there, and do not laugh at climb equal to downhill and all that stuff. Yeah, so those are some topics I want to cover. As we go through the slides, those topics will show up itself and we'll talk about it, right? So expectation, right? I mean, any hard job you want to do, it becomes kind of conceivable whenever you set the right expectation, right? And if you don't set expectation and you just experience what's coming for you as surprise all the time without any expectation, it becomes hard. So for me, the vital thing was to set my expectation whenever I toe in a start line of a race. Any hard job, you refer to this picture, right? And that's a wedding picture, right? And that's a hard work, right? Work means a hard thing to do, right? Getting into wedding and lifelong follow through, live under the same roof, two persons, manage expectations. You set expectations, what you expect from your significant other, and accordingly you follow through your life. So I see this race, all these races as similar to wedding or life. There will be many examples, right? And you set your expectation, and then accordingly you as you experience, you either meet or you don't meet your expectation. But when you set it, it's kind of become interesting. If something is not met, you probably next time you expect, okay, I need to lower my expectation. So a hill after hill you follow through in a trail, and you have some idea about what to expect. And then on top of expectation, there is another thing, was setting small goals, right? So in a race, if you get into it and right away you are expecting, okay, I'll be at the finish line right away. I mean, that's not the valid expectation. You can only set a goal that, okay, my bigger goal, my bigger constraint to this race is that I will be at the finish line. Now keep that away for the time being, and then you only just go say aid station to aid station. That is a very common saying. You go from aid station to aid station. But in a 200-mile race, aid station to aid station is a big deal sometimes. Like it's sometimes you have a marathon or an ultra marathon in between aid stations. And so I would suggest, or what I did was that I studied the trails, and then I set goals, and smaller goals in even in between aid stations as well. And whenever I am at certain point, I'm happy and continue from there, right? So that's something on the expectation. Then we move now the toolkit, right? So I am very what is it called, passionate about building the toolkit. And if you don't have your right tools in your kit, it's very hard to execute things, right? So you have to build your toolkit. And that's, for me as a runner, for my toolkit is not just running. I mean, I normally do various things, like start from strength training, from food experiment. And training is training means I'm that running itself is another the training of running is another tool in the kit. So I'll have equal importance for me. And I do not say that this is in a gambling. You roll dice, you see some numbers. It do not work like that. It is predictable thing for me. I mean, that's how I conceive it in my mind, that any race, if I want to toe the start line, I don't want to be it a gamble. So that's my advice, that it is a very predictable thing, minus the nature component, because of course everybody can say nature can be this, nature can be that. um and we have all experienced how bad nature can be, and we don't have that in control. So I keep nature out of this equation whenever I am preparing my toolkit here. uh, I will just try my best to present myself with all my strengths, but the rest is still not a gamble, because if you have prepared yourself with your strength training, with your good food habit, and with your right gear choices, and you have measured all your components that you are bringing into to serve to the purpose of finishing the race, then you have a fairly good chance that you will survive through it. And that's predictable always to me. All right. Now, okay, so here I have to, share one story, problem solving, right? These big trail races, I think, uh, is just problem solving. That's how I look at it. No matter what, things will go wrong. It will go wrong for sure. I mean, it's just a matter of, you know, expecting, like, well, things will go wrong. So set an expectation that there will be a point things will go wrong. And and whenever you set that expectation and you see a problem, uh, uh, then you don't become nervous. You rather look in your toolkit what you have to solve that problem, right? So this is one example from my last race. It's a story. Um, I was, I think, approaching the Lassal Mountains. It was very cold. It was below zero. Everything was freezing. I got the right gears. I was wearing the right jackets and everything. Bigfoot taught me a lot of things regarding preparation of my gears. So I had no problem at Moab, and I had all my gears. So I was good. I was comfortable in the cold. But the problem that happened was my one of my toes were bleeding inside my shoes, and it was, there is tremendous pain, and it felt like as if the nail has come off or something. So, but I did not want to have a look at the nail, because I want to keep moving. And And I should solve the problem, though, right? I have to take care of it somehow, but how best and fast I can take care of it, right? And so there was this almost frozen water, muddy puddle, okay, on the trail. What I did, I just went into it with my shoes. I went into it. It was so cold that it completely numbed my both feet. And I spent a minute there. And then I came out of it, and there was no pain anymore in my feet. So that was kind of a daring problem solving, like, wetting your feet and try to numb your kind of injured part of your body. But that worked for me. So I normally would like to be innovative about this problem solving on the trails, because many a times you will not have all the stuff you need to solve a problem, and you just have to be innovative. This is one of the things that I've experienced. There are many such stories for me, like at times, like I have become like my glove, like my like hands become very cold, and I have found a way how I can keep them warm in case even the gloves are not working. Because you're moving, you're running, your glutes are normally warm. So you can just put your, hands behind your glute inside your pants. And within about 10 minutes, you can warm your hands, palms, fingers. Frozen fingers got fixed at times using that. Somehow that worked for me. So the idea here is that in the slide is that expect there will be a problem, and you are ready that you will tackle it good. You will not be nervous, and keeping your mind strong towards solving the problem. So all right, so okay, so this is a loaded slide, I think. And already you have probably guessed that setting the right attitude is important. um you know uh, Attitude towards everything. A hill is coming. Oh man, another hill. That's not the right attitude, right? The right attitude is another hill. So you climb, and then after you have downhill, right? It's good. Then you should know what your aptitude level is. So aptitude is your natural ability, right? Necessarily, what are the things you are good at? Maybe you are very good at a downhill, right? That's your aptitude score at downhill. So you have to take advantage of that. But while climbing, if you're tiring yourself all the way, you will not be taking advantage of your downhill. So knowing your aptitude, you have to execute accordingly, right? And then focus, right? And if you're at the start line of your race, you focus on your finish line right away. Probably that's not the right thing to do. You just defocus the start line, finish line. And then one at a time, right? I mean, whatever you want to do, maybe focus on your next big hill. I mean, it is actually, we all know this thing, but apparently whenever you are in the race, you are tired, mind becomes cloudy. I have noticed that it's very hard to actually do what you know that you should do. That I have figured. And given that, so I have set some rules for myself how I can keep my focus right. First thing, regarding defocusing the finish line, I would just tell myself, forget the finish line. You just know that you will finish the race. That's your constraint. So you'll finish it. And so here is this story about this attitude that I think Pradeep was with me. Pradeep Pisa, he was with me at the virtual Tahoe 200. And my stomach was not doing well. I was not able to take my calories in. He was pacing me in the night, and he was like, okay, I have to fit something to beat it. I just told him that, okay, don't think that don't think anything else. Just think that we'll finish it. We'll not DNF. So keep that away. Now you solve this problem. Only focus in feeding me something. Get my calories up somehow. I mean, feed me whatever. I will try do my best to follow you what you tell me. And that's when Pradeep, took out some 400 calories gel from his pack, and I tried to shove that down my gut, right? And I could not have the whole thing. I had 75% of it, but that worked. So defocus everything, focus on what you need to do at that point. If you focus on everything else, I think it will make your mind cloudy, and that will kind of create problem in eventually getting to where you want to go. All right, so our community, right, trail community, like thrive on this thing, gratitude, right? And I am very grateful to everyone around me, whoever making that event possible, right? But there is another, aspect to it for me. That aspect is, I am very spiritual in believing. It's my belief that if you are not showing your gratitude towards who is helping you to move ahead, you will fail. I mean, I am hell bent on that belief, and this gratitude, showing this gratitude, because if you do not show your gratitude, you just think that you are grateful. It will not signal the people who is helping you that that you are actually grateful. It's important to be loud enough to let the other people know who is helping you that you are grateful. So here is the story of this gentleman. This is from Moab, I think mile 150 around. No, it's less than 100, somewhere in 90 to 100. There is this aid station, and this person is like sequencing all his work to help the runners. And he's just running from like one point to another. He's like making all these, this quesadillas. At the same time, he's filling somebody's water bottle, and at the same time, he's helping someone with a chair. And he's just running from spot to spot without one single second of rest. And he's doing that all day long. And and I asked for quesadilla, and he just put right there, and two quesadillas right there. He's cooking at the same time, and then he ran to go water, pitchers somewhere, and then he's timing himself to look at the quesadillas that it's done or not. In between, he's polling those as well. So then. So that's the story. One of the volunteers. There's another volunteer at it's another aid station, I think, way later in the race. Paul, his name was Paul. He's normally known by just Paul. So he asked me, okay, so what are the devices I can charge for you? I took out all my devices, like my headlamps, my phone, and there is some more. And then I did not have charge left in my power bank. Right? And this gentleman, what he did, he ran out and he ran to his car to get a power bank himself. He not just one, I think he got two power banks. He put all my devices on charge, and it was very cold out there. But he went and got the power banks and charged my devices. And he's making sure that I get all those properly charged before I leave the aid station. So this is just simple examples. We, on a day-to-day basis, we probably, many of us already keep doing that. But this is only one example that happened to me from these two volunteers, but they are doing that all day long for hundreds of runners. So just I want to be grateful, to the whole community. I also want to be grateful during Tahoe 200, how our whole community, the Sage, the team ASA, everybody came together and made that event happening. Even some of you also took participation in these events, as an encouragement. You did your thing. I could do my virtual Tahoe 200. And what my point here is that I'm very grateful. And this gratitude is probably one of the key things that we all runners should show loud and clear enough to the volunteers. And that can help, even spiritually. That's how I believe it. All right. So this is a funny equation here. Climb equal to downhill. I think how this came up was, I think the Cocodona 250 crew and runner team, we got together at my place, and I was asked, I don't know what I was asked. Somehow I said that, guys, climb is equal to downhill at some point. And I felt that way because what happens is whenever your body is like extremely tired, suppose you have run 100 miles already, at that point, it's downhill or climb hill, really, it doesn't matter. Both takes a toll. I mean, in this rope, that knot here, whenever you are coming down, you hold on to it and you are hanging on to it. And you have to be powerful enough, strong enough to hold your weight whenever you are coming down, if just in case you miss the steps. So how hard is coming down then, right? And climbing up, anyway, you have to take your body up, and it's hard. I think both are equally hard whenever you are tired. Not just tired, you are very tired. You know what I mean, right? After running 100 miles, you are getting into the 200-mile zone. The body acts quite differently. And sometimes you are going downhill, your knee will hurt so much that you expect, I would like a climb. So that's why I put this equation. And apparently I have also found out that, it's all these different four races that I have done, 200 or over mile distances. After about 100 mile, you run the climb or run the downhill, it's all the same. That's how I feel. I hope that you will find some truth in this statement whenever you are doing it, like, many of these yourself, and or maybe you have already experienced it. It's just that probably haven't realized it. I'm not sure. um think about it. Just a food for thought. Right. So fear, right, um is something I dealt first time in ultra running, when I was running Tahoe Rim Trail 100, in the second loop of it. That year there was lot of snow, and snow was melting and falling onto the streams, splashing big, and it was like maybe night, like 1 or 2 a.m. Very dark, stones darkness. I'm alone climbing one piece of hill, and all of a sudden I hear this loud noise of like a snow falling down into a river or something, or maybe on snow, I don't know. Just super loud noise, and I got so scared. And and, and that's when I thought, okay, and only my headlamp was one. Then what I did, I switched off my headlamp. It's just super dark now, and I only can feel my heartbeat, and I'm climbing. I looked at, there is clear enough to climb, and I'm just only climbing. I can hear my heartbeat. And at that point, after that experience, I kind of lost my fear to be alone in trail. Till that point in the race, I was very scared. But after that, somehow that one switch got flicked. I lost fear. Aloneness has become a very good company after that. So basically, aloneness will be your company when you lose the fear. That's why I put both together here. And you probably do not need a pacer at that point, or you don't need a pacer whenever you lose your fear and you embrace aloneness as your company. Aloneness is your pacer basically. And aloneness, what I have felt is, especially in the last race, Moab, can be an excellent pacer. And that's when basically I have experienced that you connect to, I don't know what you call it. You get into a meditative state. You have no fear. You're just moving in the trail. You're alone. You are blending in the whole nature. You are blending in the hills. You are blending into the water streaming by, and you are just part of the whole nature. And you are in a meditative state. And this is why I want to keep going back and do more of, pacerless. I'm not saying crewless at the moment. Crewless and pacerless, it's fine. Crew can help you to revive you at the aid station. But I would not probably supporting a pacer uh, in an ultra running race. Uh, but that also depends on probably goal and all these things. I will talk a little bit about. I have a slide later. Uh, Pacer and crew. I'll talk a little bit on crew and pacing on that. But aloneness, losing fear, getting into a meditative state had helped me spiritually reach in the trails. This is something I wanted to share. And that's why I want to keep going back and do more solitary races. Fine. So enjoying all this meditativeness and everything, and you are going on, and then eventually you are so freaking tired. Like mile 220 Moab. And I am just tired. I am so tired that I cannot feel the tiredness. It's that tired. Managing myself, managing my mind, managing the terrain, managing gears. I'm so tired, I cannot feel the tiredness. I cannot feel the pain. And that's exactly when I think got into this state of hallucination. It was, I think, 6 mile or 8 mile, I don't know, 6 to 8 mile section on a concrete. But actually, it is about, I think, more than that. But the concrete section was 6 to 8 mile. And I'm supposed to take a turn after 6 miles from the concrete into the trail. And at that point, I was conscious enough that, I am going on the road alone. There was nobody else. My headlamp is working perfectly. I can see the road ahead. And there were these structures on the side of the road. It was the road. Those structures were either rocks or trees. Yeah, I mean, I could not really figure those are rocks or trees. Probably rocks, or probably some limestone stuff. Not sure. Or maybe just small little hills. What happened is all of these have transformed into some sort of like a families of monsters. Not really monsters, I would say. Monkey-faced, huge creatures. They were not monsters because they were not trying to harm me or anything. I just see that there are these grandparents. There are those grandparents playing with kids, all monkey-faced, huge creatures. And there are these parents working in the paddy fields, or some were sitting in the porch of their houses. And like a primitive, though, all were looking very primitive creatures, like a monkey faces. And and miles of that experience, both sides of the road, and and some of them were actually putting their arms towards me, and it was so real, guys. It was just real, and I'm like, my conscience is telling me this is not real. My mind is like, oh my god, what are these? Who are these? Maybe these are spirits, maybe who live here. I just, I'm just damn serious that those are something out there. And so that was my hallucination. It went for several miles, and I missed my turn, and I maybe went by like a half mile or mile or so. My watch on my hand, it was going beep, beep, beep because I missed the turn. And that's when, at some point, finally, I kind of wake up, and I'm saying, oh my God, I lost the turn, or I missed direction. And then that's when I think Anil or Ankita, Anil also called me, because they were looking at. I went, of course, and say thanks to the satellite device, the rest people put it on, put on you, and they could you know, track me. So I lost course, and they called me, and I also figured I lost course, so I kind of immediately turned back. I just did not look anymore both sides. I just, like a horse, I just look straight, because if I look on the sides, those guys are there. They will again fascinate me or bewitch me, or make me kind of off my track again, maybe. I just did not look. I just started running to come back to the turn where I should take the turn. And that was a good experience, I think, on hallucination. And finally, I happened to, feel the hallucination. And my conclusion here is that this kicks in only when you are like hugely tired. The mind start playing games and creates all these holographic things around you. Those are quite 3D, like holographic, really, not just 2D pictures or something. Right. So now, floodgate of emotions, and this is not new to me in these races, these 4 races. These happen also in 100 milers for me. After about 30 to 40 miles, normally what happens to me is I get into like a state of mind, like very emotionally driven, and that's exactly when I kind of connect with my late mom, and so that happens around 40-mile point for me. That's the switch here, and I just run and run, and I cry. I connect to my mom. I can feel her presence around me. And this is something extraordinary for me. And this is why I want to run longer as well, in addition to experiencing meditative state, aloneness, and all that, feel spiritually high. But even before getting into that hallucinative state, this comes to me before. It's costless in terms of effort for me. Maybe many of you have already experienced it. For me, the point is about 40-mile point, for this 30 to 40, somewhere in between. And this is one of my inspiration, that I can connect to my late mom and continue running. But this is not exactly the why I run these races. I mean, I cannot explain why, but this is one of the outcomes from these races for me. And once I'm into that state, effort is nothing. I can really run hard actually at that time. Climb or downhill doesn't matter. It helped me. It just carries me, and that lasts for many miles. It's just as if like you are getting a hitchhike or something. It's just yeah. So this is something I want to. You guys have probably noticed that whenever I am running a race, I'm normally in kind of in contact, in communication in our group. Many people just they don't even take their phones, and but I believe in thriving on connectivity, and I feed off the energy of community whenever I'm running. Like, I text people, I text my family, talk to my family. I will stop 5 minutes and talk to my family. It helps me. And then sometimes even I will change gears and try to look vibrant sometimes, and miles in styles, that's what I say. And that way it helps me to kind of take the load of the stress. Basically, the stress is kind of a little less. I kind of mind kind of go away from the thought of the big goal of finish doing another 100 miles or another 150 miles or another 50 miles. Kind of keep your mind away from that harder thought or constraint, right? And I believe in like feeding off the energy of the crowd. It helps me. right? Pacer and crew. So this topic is probably pretty sensitive. Uh, you know, some say that, hey, you want to do a ultra running race. Why you believe in pacer or crew, right? Be the badass, right? I mean, you don't need pacer, don't need crew. I think that depends, right? I mean, it depends what your goal is. If your goal is to experience something unique, your goal is to experience spirituality, like I mentioned in earlier slide. Your goal is probably connect to someone you lost. I think you don't need pacer, right? I mean, you cannot take a pacer. If you have a pacer, you will be in the real world of you are conversing. Pacer will telling you eat that guzel, or drink water, eat a burger. Hey, I carried your burger. Can you eat it? These will be disturbance in terms of connecting to someone or connecting to spirituality or being in a meditative state, right? Don't take a pacer if you want to experience uh, your ultra running in a very unique way. But if you have time goal, or you are scared, you haven't uh, you know um, uh, you haven't yet won your fear, you don't want to be alone, aloneness is not your thing, you need patience, right? So I've experienced both in these 200 races. I have experienced pacer, crew, crewless, pacerless, and everything. And my take here is that in a very long race, having a crew is great. And your goal is like a very time bound, then pacer is also great. It will help you. But if I was you, I just don't want to finish an ultra running race within some time. I want to experience the spirituality of it. That's why I'm doing ultra running. Otherwise, I'll do road running. I will go fast. Right? I think you can find your answer from that, whether you want to take a pacer or crew or not. Judge yourself. If you're fearless on the trail, you don't need a pacer. Enjoy the aloneness. And if you are tired enough, some people will be very strong and they will not be tired enough to get hallucination, because you need a very fatigue state of the body. You have to dig deep. You have to get into that pain cave and surface it. And only then probably you will get into hallucination. Okay. That's again retrospecting into the other slide. So, all right. So this slide is what I will say, right? I kind of answered this in the previous slide itself, that I will go with a team if I want to do a time-bound race. But between pacer and crew, I think I will select crew, not pacer. Pacer doesn't let you be, right? Uh, Given the spiritual nature of, ultra running. Sometimes I'll probably take that back, that, if your pacer knows that, knows of your goal, that you still want to be alone and spiritual and all that, you're trying to, extract something out of that run, maybe pacer can be away from you and still let you feel that aloneness, do your own thing and dive into the, this mind's caves and peel into, all these different caves of the mind and still experience it, right? What I will say is, I will not probably, if I want to rerun these 4 races, I will just take crew, because it helps you to lighten your mood up whenever you are getting into a aid station. you have someone to look forward to meet in the aid station. At Moab, one of the aid station, I arrived in the night. It was so cold that I was shivering, and I needed to get my drop bag. Someone helped me to get the drop bag, but it took a lot of time to get the drop bag. And in the meantime, I was dying in cold, standing. It took maybe 15 minutes to get the drop bag. And then I was given a tent to rest up. All of the limbs were shaking in such amplitude like that. And I was not able to get anything done. I was not able to zip up things, not able to find things, not able to put the headlamps right. It was very cold. I felt very helpless. So maybe I would like to avoid that kind of a situation. It was good experience, to know it, but knowingly I will not get into that state. I would like to have a crew who will help me to arrange my gears and then sleep for 2 hours. And I was only shivering for 1 hour and only could sleep for 1 hour, somehow getting warm, wearing everything I had. All right, so here's some rest recap. But before that, maybe we can break for question answer, right? Then we'll go to the rest. So what I said is we could take questions now, if there is any, and then go to each race and do some recap and talk about it.
Hi, Vipul. This is Monica.
Hi, Monica. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I just had, thank you so much, but this great information. Just was wondering, just one quick question is like, how do you balance like work, life, everything, like, family with all your training, and how do you, I
Right.
know, because this is a lot of time you dedicate to it on this for the running. So,
Right. Yeah. So, okay, this is a great question. So I think it depends on priority
Mhm.
and how you manage your priorities. Like, for example, like, I wanted to do Triple Crown at some point. I wanted to do 200. So I had to run more, take more time. So I changed job for that, right? Because I love running. So I had to take an action here. I changed my job so that I could have more time. That's one thing.
Mhm.
But the other thing is, it's kind of selfish and little evil, as Hardway tells me. That, you know to get the support from your family, make the family trail runner,
Mhm.
right? So I did that. So basically, what I did is I kind of brew my close friends and family to run with me. I took a serious effort on that. To take my wife Ankita to take her to the trail so that she can understand what trail running means, how it can help one spiritually or physically, keep you fit. It's a good thing for them, right? I mean, I know I did it for my purpose, that hey, make the family understand that trail running is good, so they will support you to achieve your goals, be part of it. But it's also good thing for them, right? I mean, it's a healthy approach. If it was something bad, drinking or something, I mean, that's not the way to go. But I probably successfully brewed my friends to be friends, family, to understand the value of trail running and do them accordingly. And as a result of that, I have a very supportive wife to let me run. I mean, it's very hard to, for a wife to let you go and be off the hook for like four 200 races for its training and the sheer execution of it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, yes. Cool. Thank you.
Sure.
BT, there is another good question here if you look at the chat window.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sure. Oh, okay. I'm not looking at the chat window. Okay. Uh,
From Deva.
okay. How do you deal with injuries? What do you do when you cannot run due to an injury? Okay. That's a very good question, actually. Okay. I think first thing, you know, uh, there is nothing like that, injury will, well, most of the injuries, you can run through it, but not the way you probably run always through it. So here is an example for me, right? From me, I mean. So my left knee has got a meniscus injury and its cartilage is somewhat gone. And I found that out by MRI, and I have a surgeon who I consult, and he told me that with this kind of injury, there are people who are still playing professionally, right? But it's just that they manage their lifestyle or they find a way to do things through this. So I found a way too to deal with that injury. So how do I do that? I offload my knee by maximum usage of poles. So I, and for using my poles, I had to do good amount of strength training so that I can take load off my legs using my shoulders. So that is one way of doing it. And the other thing is, after I have run, some miles, I have figured that I have some early signs nowadays. For example, like I'm trying to get back into marathoning now. I ran 2 days, easy runs, and third day, I took rest. I got signal on my Achilles that they are getting used a lot because I am running continuously. So I stopped. I took a day break. I listened to the body. This is the old classical thing, but nobody listens to the body, and that's when the injuries get worse and worse. Otherwise, injury will not be actually real injury if you listen to the body at the right time. Now, finally, after 10 years of running, I started listening to the body. And so I tell you, these old sayings are always there. This classical saying, listen to the body. Nobody listens. Just listen to the body and take the rest if you need to. But despite you are having a small injury indication, if you keep running through it, you will screw it up. I have done it many times. I screwed it up. But finally, I am listening nowadays. So that's how I deal with injury. Like, and the other thing is, there is always a way to, that's very much me specific. Okay. Like, and that's just being probably wild and not so reasonable. I must confess that I had a MCL injury at one point of time on my right leg, that's from snowboarding, and my MCL was torn into two parts, two halves. And I went to run a 50K. That was so dumb of me to do it. I and I was telling people, hey, I want to show that without MCL you can run 50K. That is stupid, right? But I learned hard way, right? Listen to the body and don't do stuff. If your injury gets worse, it's always reversible. That's one thing I believe. There is nothing like that. You cannot run because of this injury. Even if you lose a leg, you still can run. Build your mind, I guess. Okay. Does that answer the question, Deva?
Yeah, it does. Definitely does. I mean, I definitely need to start listening to my body.
Exactly.
I ran the CIM with a ITBS injury,
Yeah.
and because I didn't want to postpone it, but I cannot run now because I did that. So,
But the good news is that you can always run through ITB injury, so don't worry on that. It
yeah,
hurts you, but it doesn't make you bad.
yeah, it hurt. Yeah, but I can do short runs now without getting that pain feel the painful feeling. But the moment I go 10 miles and longer, it starts hurting again. So maybe the body is telling me not to go for long runs.
Yeah, don't do long runs. Short runs can be challenging as well. Take that
Yeah,
challenge.
yeah.
Okay. Any other question? Otherwise, we will go to the race recap.
Yeah, maybe do a recap and come back.
Okay, sounds good. Let's do that. Oh, what happened? Oh, sorry, something happened. I have to redo the. So, okay, so I have to just go back. That's all. Okay. So, Cocodona 250, right? The recap. Yeah, this was my first 200, and my expectation was that a 200 miler will be easier than a 100 miler. That's a weird expectation, but I enjoyed a lot in this race, and expectation was kind of stayed intact overall. And regarding the race itself, great vibe, coverage, kind of drone video, then all those what is this commentary, that makes it very interesting race to do, and the families like it. Like my kid likes it. He was able to see me sometimes, and then followers, our community was following, was chatting in the window with the commentators, taking my name, taking our other runners name, Pradeep, Kausik. We had a whole team there running this race, and we had a great time running this race. And more than anything, this race actually goes through various cities, interesting cities, and the desert, the terrains, and mountains like Mount Eldon. And it's an awesome race. And this is definitely worth even rerunning this race. I recommend this race. Few things about this race is that the solar cactus, I have to mention that it gave me 24 hours of stepless, or what do you call, restless time. And near Sedona, I kind of laid down on a trail, and solar cactus got everywhere, and it just pierced various parts of the body, and it was so hard to kind of disengage these things. And just be very careful if you go there. That is the first thing I'll tell you about this race. People laugh at it when the organizers were saying, hey, get these combs, this will help you to remove the solar cactus. Be serious about that. Then there were interesting towns like Jerome, that they called like a coast town or something. The history is, just Google it, a beautiful history, even worth visiting it, even without even if you're not racing. And you have to be like quiet in that Jerome city. Cannot even actually use the poles hitting the pavements, because it makes sound tick 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 tick, right? I mean, and the residents do not like that. It's a very quiet place. Very interesting. Regarding temperature, I must maintain and I must mention that, oh my God, there is like a huge range of temperature you will be experiencing here. And we experienced, I think, below freezing to 124 Fahrenheit. And that was something. And no other race actually probably provided, so far what I've done, provided that much of a big range of temperature window. So I recommend this race if any of us want to do it. I also want to be part of it at some point. All right, let's go to the next one. So this one is Bigfoot 200. I categorize this one as the hardest of the four in terms of effort. And luckily, I set the right expectation that this will be the hardest. And I talked to all my resources. I talked to Nilay, Hima, who were in these trails before in earlier attempts. I talked to Paban, and I made notes. I prepared pretty well in terms of what to expect when. Right? And regarding gear, that's where my I am very kind of quick in buying new gears, put it in my drop bag or take with me. But I was not thoughtful enough to, where I should keep those gears at what point of the race. And that brings to my lowest point because of that gear mismanagement. I did not have rain gear at probably, I think it was mile 150. Just click it at the aid station. And from there, you basically bushwhack a lot. And then also you go through trails where there are a lot of fallen trees and you expect rain in that area. And it rained. My judgment was that it would rain when I reached the next aid station. But such judgment was too much. It was a blasphemy in a way that I cannot judge rain that it will happen not at this aid station, it will happen on the next aid station. You better keep rain gears in both the aid station or you carry with you, right? I just that is horrible of me, horrible of a choice I made that I did not take my rain gear. And it rained. And it was freezing cold wind and rain and fallen trees, and you cannot see trails. It was super dark. I think that was the hardest point in my trail running. I never felt so helpless. But the good thing was that I somehow still kept saying that I'll get over it. I'll get over it. Or I did not do a SOS call. I did not. And a couple of times, in fact, I slipped into the trail. And both the times I caught hold of, these are called the tree spikes. There are a lot of them in those trees. You can get hold of those and you may not fall. So I did that. And as it rained, I started running very hard, jumping through the trees and under it or over it because there are fallen trees, right, everywhere. And apparently, at some point, I got so wet and I got so cold, I had to take out my BV. I had a BV because BV is a mandatory gear. I took it out. I made a hole in the BV and wore it like a jacket, but the BV is a long thing. So I had my arms inside it and my poles also inside it. It's like, you have holding the poles inside the BV and you are moving like super slow in the rain and your headlamp is stuck on top of the, kind of tied on top of the BV. It was a weird scene. Okay. And I was moving slowly. I felt pretty low at that point. I was thinking, can I make it to the next aid station? I was thinking that way. But there is this other thing in my brain saying, you have to make it to the next aid station. There is no rescue here. So there is nothing like, can I make it to the next aid station? You have to make it to the aid station. So this is a point where I would probably suggest if somebody is doing this race that you have a pacer. I mean, we are not, professional, trail runners here that mandates that we need to do this pacerless or something. We need to be safe. We have families and we need to be careful about that. So have a pacer, especially in this section. It will give you a lot of confidence. So I regret having a pacer at that point. That was my lowest point, and I reached the next aid station completely wet, very cold, close to hypothermic. And Nilay was waiting for me over there. So nice of him that he came there and he helped me through my low time there. And I had to take a 5-6 hour break in the car. But the funny thing is, I also cursed him at the same time because he parked his car maybe a mile out from the aid station. He'll tell you maybe half mile. It felt like a mile. And it was so cold. I had to walk with him. He was going fast, and I was like following him to the car. And I'm not even getting any credit of that mile into the race. It's funny. Anyway, so once I reached there, he actually got me food and everything. So Nilavai, gratitude. We made this happen. All right. So anyway, this race has a lot of steep climb, glaciers, bushwhack, volcano, fields. It has a lot of different challenges. What it doesn't have is very high altitude. So if you like all these challenges, but you don't like altitude, this is your race. And awesome views throughout. Beautiful Klikitat area. And so Klikitat is the Indian tribe after whom they named that county. It has the most beautiful forest and trails. Trails are so soft as if you are actually running on carpet, like Kashmiri carpet, really fluffy. Nice. Man, I enjoyed running through Klikitat. And the way they set up the aid station kind of hidden into the trail on the side of it, you just have a nice Mount Rainier view, and you're running down through the trail and getting into the aid station. It was unbelievable experience. The race finishes in a track, and it is very beautiful in a way and very enjoyable because you run the whole track, and people run pretty fast there in races. And I had great time running with Nilay in that track, and I really enjoyed Bigfoot, and I enjoyed, especially because it was so hard, challenging race, and was able to finish it. And I'm really grateful who made it possible. Thank you. All right. Next.
I have a
Yeah,
question.
sure.
Was this, how do you compare the organization of Cocodona versus Bigfoot?
Right. Okay, so Cocodona sleep station wide, the best. And sleep is very important in these races, right? For people like me or some other runners who need sleep in their runs. And they had very good aid stations, somewhat better, way better hygienic than the destination trail races. And food-wise, destination trail race is better. Bigfoot or Moab, they are way better in terms of food choices. And in terms of coverage, I think Cocodona is better. Like family and everyone can stay tuned to runners progress better. And overall, the hype of the race is interesting. But in terms of running the race itself, from the experience of it, I would give the score to the destination trail people, because they have a very good crew and the required equipments for rescues and things. I have noticed that very well at Moab. They have like good ATVs that can go over those rocks, and a full-blown team of rescuing you if something go wrong. Yeah, and except the sleep station stuff. Yeah. So any specific question, any you want me to reflect on?
About
Specific.
course marking.
Okay, course marking wise, Cocodona was better. And I see very less course marking in the destination trail races in general as compared to Cocodona. And uh, I mean, and again, they keep saying that these are graduate level races. Course marking will be minimal. You have your GPS track, so they expect you a lot to use the GPS track they give you. But they did not manage the GPS track well at Moab because there is no reroute. The race did not go over the La Salle. They did a reroute, and they updated the GPXs, but they did not communicate well so that runners could have the GPX on time and be flawless about it. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
All right. Any other question on those two? Okay, also so let me see if there is any on the side window. Is there anything? Okay, that's fine. Okay. Oh, okay. So there's a question. I'll handle it right now. Srirasna asked, do you have an emotional low that you have to deal with it? I'm not sure if it's common. If you do, how do you push through it? After a race. After a race, do you have an emotional low that you have to deal with it? You just sign up a new race, I guess. Right? Well, so actually, that's a good question, Srirasna. So I have withdrawal symptoms, not just after. Actually, whenever I'm going towards the finish line of this 200 miler, especially I started feeling that at Moab, that the race was ending. And I was actually enjoying the night run in the little bit of actually rain and damp, kind of dank weather. And you're running by the river, and there is this, there are these rocks you're running on top of it, very beautiful through the night. I really started enjoying that. But when I was approaching the finish line, I had a withdrawal symptom that I did not somehow, a part of me was like saying, this should not finish. It should just, go on. So I was able to be in that moment, luckily. And I mean, who would not want to finish the race? But it did strike me once at Moab, but that did not strike in the other three. Actually, I wanted badly to finish them and get over it, but after the race there was some sort of emotional low. I have nothing to do now, but if I have another or two 200-mile race in sequence, I definitely don't have the low. But after finishing Moab, after I came back home, now I have nothing in my calendar in terms of a bigger race. I haven't signed up. It does make me feel bad that I don't have nothing good to look forward to. I want to suffer again, get all those benefits of what I just said, like, spirituality and all that. That's so real. The hallucination is so real. I want to experience it again. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
All right. So we are moving ahead.
There's one more question by
Sure.
Ashish.
All right. What was it?
In terms of prep, did you take up time training, hours in a day / week per month, in addition to distance, miles in a day per week, etc.?
No. So there is no mapping between how many miles of training and these races for me. Okay. And you just train, you just do a training block. I mean, and some fitness runs, and you just tell yourself, I'm ready to face this monster. It's because I'm not going there to perform at the highest level, or I don't even know I can finish this, because these are pretty unpredictable monsters. uh, given the terrain you go through, given the natural conditions you go through. You only can prepare your toolkit, um, but not really in terms of perspective of how many miles, how many days per week, and all that. Those are not there in my schedule. All I have is I want to have this much of bird this week or this month. I don't know. I mean, doing how many days a week I will achieve that. There is nothing like that. The day I feel like doing more, I'll just go do more. It's pretty mental, I think. I would say my experience is that these races are so mental that probably even if you train your mind and just show up at the start line, you can still finish it. You may not finish with a very good time because you did not train your muscles or legs, but you will still finish it because it's at some point after running 50 miles, your body is anyway vegetable. It has such chemical reaction that it put you in such stress or maybe such high or something. You cannot predict how it will behave. And then after is the mind who is steering you. It's building the mind, train the mind. That's what I believe in. Yeah.
Thanks, BT.
Yeah. All right. So maybe we can move ahead, or there is another question.
That's all for now.
All right. Okay. So let's go to the next one. Okay. So Tahoe 200. This was epic. I think this was a great example of what we all can do all together. It's like, oh my God. I mean, I did not plan it the way it spawned itself, you know. And I just planned I will just go do a 200-mile run so that I can still be called finishing a triple crown in sense of it. And apparently I started running at Mission Peak because I wanted to do some good amount of birds in the first 75 miles, like 29,032 feet of bird in the first 75 miles or whatever, without sleep. That was a goal. So once that was achieved, I kept things kind of open. If I want to climb the same again in the next 75 miles, apparently I could not. After finishing like about 75 miles with that bar done, I was done. I needed sleep. So I slept for a few hours and then went on doing the 200-mile distance, not really trying too much further after that. And the whole community came together here, and here in the pictures, everybody is not here. I just picked some pictures put here. Did not really specifically selected some. We had the whole community doing this thing, and thanks everyone. And this was to kind of Anil's idea, actually. Anil Rao. He told me that maybe we can map this to fundraising as well, and that did not strike me initially. And then we actually tied fundraising to it. And for Caldor Fire, that time Tahoe was burning, because of which actual Tahoe did not happen. It was a Tahoe virtual fire edition, right? And thanks to all the donors. Awesome idea, Anil. And this was, and also I know it was your trick to keep me kind of motivated towards the goal. Otherwise, I'll not even finish it if it was not fundraising. So that was interesting. But it was hard. I took maximum time to finish this one, like 105 hours. And because it was like staying in our own house and doing things that we normally do and still continuing with the run to complete the 200 miles, right? So that kind of made it hard. But one thing made it easier, though, that I have all my people. I mean, whenever I needed someone, I mean, they're there to just come down and pace me. So, I went up Mount Hamilton, and coming down, everybody was there. Even when I was winding up, Anil showed up with his car, and he was the Salta Firta crew, I mean, moving crew for me, and bringing all the food, khichdi and whatnot, right? And It was a great experience. I would really like to, hear what our community had to say about this event. We should probably do more of this kind of a thing, because it binds us all so well for a common goal. It's pretty moving. I'm very emotional about this event. Okay, moving next.
Hi, BT. I would agree with you. You know, if we can have more of these kind of events where people can come and join and be part of that experience, that would be really kind of gives you the sense that you belong with the team, and then the sense of giving that
Right.
comes with it is just priceless. You know.
It's just amazing, Preeti. I mean, the evening you, Sirasana, showed up with all that food. Oh my God. It was mind blowing. I was not expecting something like that. And I was, at that time I was very cold. I had to lie down. But after eating, even though I could not eat, I could drink the Alfonso mango juice. So that really helped me. It warmed me up. And then the night came by and we had a good night. Pradeep coming in, it helped a lot. Thank you. All right, moving on to the last one of the four, the Moab 200. In my mind, I think it's in my judgment, is the prettiest of the four. And this race worth a rerun for me. If I have to like rerun, which one I would like to rerun, it's Moab. Uh, it's amazingly beautiful landscape. It's so huge landscape. I mean, in Cocodona also, I have seen all those red rocks and things, desert. But Moab is beyond comparison. The vastness of it, the scenery, um, the the kind of voodoo structures, the deserts, and the La Salle mountain, and the way the La Salle mountain, whenever wind blows there, the way it howls. Oh my God, it's mind blowing. I think if somebody asks me which one I would recommend the most, it's Moab 200 actually. That's what I would go do this race if it make it your first 200 if you want to run a 200. Yeah, great volunteering community, great people, and apparently destination trail races were able to attract volunteers from around the country. Actually, a lot of people came from different part of the country and volunteered in this race. And amazing experience, how graceful these volunteers were. Best volunteering out of the in best, not the best, I would say. Tahoe 200 was the best for me, and then after this, it's a must-do race, I would say, if you want to really explore the beautiful Utah, because you cannot drive to those places. You have to be on your foot. You have to do this race, and you can do it yourself too. But then you have to do a lot of research and study maps and study, guidebooks, and take a tour guide or something. But doing this race, everything comes in a package. You have food served at your aid station. You are going through the landscape, experiencing everything Utah has to offer. Cold race. So crew is recommended. I already shared how low, how cold I was at Moab, that specific aid station, before hitting the La Salle or Say Mountain. I think Say Mountain. Beautiful, never-ending trail. And shoes, this is one point I have to single out here. I felt my shoes are pretty flimsy on the rocks, especially on the reroute. They had the reroute to avoid the snow at La Salle, and the reroute course had a lot of rocks, and those rocks were really hard on my ultra lone peak or team shoes, and I wish I had a harder, more rugged shoes on at that point. That actually injured my big toes. All right, I think I'm done through these presentation and question answer. if you have questions.
Hey, I have one more. So all these 4 races, was there any set of high points which stands out? Wherein you
8
felt
points in terms of what?
like, I wish it just continued on, or you could go on forever kind of moment.
In Moab, I wish the finish line did not come up. I mean, I wanted to experience that stretch, the last stretch more, especially in Moab. And the Bigfoot, it was very challenging the way the climbs kept coming. The very steep grade climb kept coming. And at one point, it was like a challenge for me to keep going. And I felt good. Even though I don't train too much of vert, but somehow I was blending into that, and the efforts just happened. I was able to execute, keep moving. I did not have to really stop anywhere. I was always moving. That's at Bigfoot, but Bigfoot also had my biggest slow, like I mentioned before, in the rain.
How about Cocodona?
Cocodona was well, the Cocodona was I would say that it was very uniform for me, because I could see Hima and Paban at regular breaks, and to see them was a lot of excitement for me. And also not just seeing them, they used to bring this special ice cream, man. So yeah, that ice cream was something. I mean, because they did not have the freezer, the ice cream became milkshake. But man, the maximum satisfaction of food, that ice cream. And I was just looking forward for that every time I see them. And that made the whole race very enjoyable. And it was first 200 after all. I did not want to really push and push and push, because I did not know what to really expect. Can I finish it? Can my body take me all the way to the finish line? And that little bit of cloudiness was there. So was playing safe. But at the same time, I wanted to make sure in that race that I saw up at the aid station before Kosik and Pradeep saw up, because otherwise it will be like a crowd there. And we have only like 2 crew members. And so I wanted to get out to the aid station before one of them or both of them saw up. So that effort was on. Yeah. And towards the end, well, now I remember there was one specific moment where I sat down for an hour, maybe more than an hour, and I was like getting sentimental that the race will get over somehow. And I just put my leg up in a tree. I have that picture somewhere, and I just started calling people, and started calling family, and then I think talked to some of you guys as well, started communicating on WhatsApp in our Sage group. And I just did not want to move. And at that point, I got the right energy from everyone. And eventually I stood up and went on to finish the race. But it was a very unusual kind of feeling that, hey, race will get over. I want to just be here. Or maybe somehow the body was just lazy, did not want to move, don't know. But primarily I was thinking race will get over. This had been good 4 or 5 days or whatever. And then a lot of highs and lows, over 4 or 5 days. Sometimes you don't want to miss it. You want it. You want to have it always. I mean, that's the reason why we keep going back, signing up more races and do more, right? In a way, this withdrawal symptom is everywhere there, I think. Yep.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks. Anyone else?
What next, BT?
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just right now. There is something in mind, but nothing concrete is signed up, kind of. Like right now, I'm just very diligently building my toolkit after the race, last race over. I mean, I started building once I got the booster shot. I joined the gym again, and then started working on my strength because that helps a lot. If once you have the right amount of strength, you can fight a lot against adverse conditions. I believe in that a lot. So I'm doing that. I had been doing that. And then I have like a mini goal of running a marathon, like Mount Charleston Marathon. I want to run it hard. So training for it, started training this week, early. And then next I want to run Ure 100. That race is signed up, but I don't know how my climbing training show up. I have to see after my marathon. I have one race in India with Pavan and Ganesh. We are running the Buddha Trail, 65-kilometer. That will be a nice race, but I will not be trained for that race. I will be because I will only be training for the marathon, and that race is just enjoyment. And then after train for Ure 100, and then after I want to sign up, I'll put my name in lottery for the Tour des Géants. That's the 200 miler in Italy, Aosta Valley. So hope I get into that race. Nothing concrete yet. I'll put my name in lottery. If not in lottery, I'll see if I can get any other way in, but it's long way right now. So don't know. So those are the four names in terms of planning. There is nothing else really. We have some good, nice, fat ass runs here and there. Already very excited, looking forward for those though. Yeah. Any more questions?
Okay, I'll ask one more if no one else has. So how is 200 different from 100?
Ah. Okay. 200, you have a lot of time to spring back. You can get lazy. You can eat food, you can sleep, you can spring back. But in 100, I don't think you have as much time. That's the first difference it come to my mind. But if you're a very fast runner, you still can manage that time in 100. But if you're not, then like a mediocre runner like me, in 100, something I goof up. I don't have enough time to recuperate. Taking a 1 hour nap, I cannot get back. I'll miss the cutoff. I think that's, and also coming from a, backpacking background, you get into a 200, I think you can cruise it through. But 100, I don't think a backpacker just can come and cruise it through. He has to run some. He has to put some strategy in to finish 100. And from the finishing perspective, if you want to just finish 100, finish at 200, finishing at 200 is an easier bet for me. That's how I would judge it.
So BT, the 200 miler doesn't have cutoffs, is that right?
No, it has cutoffs. Normally
Okay.
cutoffs are more generous than 100 milers.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
I think, Monica, I would say people give up earlier than cutoffs in a 200 miler.
right. Okay.
Right.
So nobody, I've hardly heard anybody missing cutoffs in 200 milers. But you basically mentally give up before that if there are people.
I agree, Nila. Yes. So if you have a strong mind, you will always finish at 200. Yeah.
So BT, for beginners like us, I mean, 200 is way there, but I don't even know what actually happens. Like you talked about sleeping. I mean, you guys sleep for some hours. So is it like possible, like for you to just brief through the whole, like when do you kind of sleep? How many hours typically? And what is the, like, where are the aid stations? And like, just to give us
Right.
understanding of the whole 200 miles. Because what I have seen you just at the end, like running, you almost sprinted. And I couldn't believe that, you were sprinting down after when you finished your 200 miler. So,
Right. It's a very good question, actually. Good that you point that out. I kind of missed it to kind of address it earlier. I should have one. So it's basically how you can recover with like I said, 2 hour or 1 hour or half hour sleep, right? You have to train your body to recover with a 1 hour, 2 hour, or 15, 20, 30 minutes. It's a basically limited amount of sleep time, which is not prolonged. It should not be like 6 hours sleep or something, right? Because if you take 6 hours, you might miss cutoff actually, and if you're not fast enough, right? So for me, naturally, like this is my aptitude here. I mean, going back to my presentation, I said aptitude, right?
mhm,
Your natural ability, your aptitude. My natural ability helped me here. I can just sleep 2 hours and be fresh as new right after.
mm,
So, and by the way, if I can, anybody else can. I think it's a matter of training to do that. Some people may need 3 hours sleep instead of 2 hours to feel new. But if they are fast, because there are so much jugglery you can do in a 200, you have enough time. You can sleep more and you can run fast, or you can run slow, sleep less. You have the time. You have like whole 100 or 100+ hours to do things. You have enough, space to play with. And the aid station, normally most aid station, good number of aid station will have a sleeping pad.
mhm,
And I normally take about 2 hours sleep in 24-hour period in a 100-mile, a 200-mile race.
mm,
But I end up spending maybe 1 to 2 hours doing, if I don't have a crewing myself, I spend a lot of time then sleeping. So if you can be more organized in terms of what you need at every aid station, you can save a lot of time and use that time to take more rest.
mm,
Because the more you take rest, the better efficient resting you will do. You'll be able to sprint at the end if you train yourself to recover after a sleep.
mm,
Right? And a lot of runners can just take 15 minutes break and keep going. They will never take a 2 hour sleep. They will take 15
mm,
minutes every 4 or 5 hours, 15 minutes every 4 or 5 hours, 15 minutes. It's basically our human body is so adaptable, right? Once it's totally your game, it's your body. You can train it to do miracles, myriads of things. And
mm,
and in my training, I have trained it to sleep 2 hours and move on, sleep 2 hours and move on, kind of every
mm.
24 hours. That's my way of functioning here. I mean, I don't know if I'll change in future, but that's how I had been operating in the last few races. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
One more thing I wanted to add it here is it's not covered in the presentation, the nutrition, right? We actually forget in the trail to keep the nutrition up. I think real food is better in 200s than the chemicals, like, I mean, gel and everything. Because if I mean, no matter what, you'll keep adding caffeine. Once you keep adding caffeine, your body, too much caffeine kind of do not function normally. Real food is not that way. So real food, if you can eat real food at the aid station, or if you can pack some creatively enough, because you have to be creative to pack real food in your drop bags if you want to have your own kind of food, and you don't want to eat from the aid station because that food is foreign to you or something. um, so I have tried both. I have tried with my own food in some race, and I have tried only the aid station food like in Moab. Both kind of work well for me. So again, going back to human body is so adaptable, you just need to train it. That's all. And I have proved that. You just train it and you will get out of it.
What did you use for real food putting in your drop bag?
Yeah, interesting. So glad you asked. Okay, I don't know if I'm glad you asked that. At times, at times I have put like these ice boxes with idlis in it, like ice box. There is ice, and then I put idlis in it, and idli really works great for me. And 10, 12 idlis, if I pick it up, and every 1 hour I'll eat one idli. So that's how I function at times. And I have done that. And I also worked with cakes, like you bake this home cake, at home you bake cakes. And those used to work for me. Those have eggs and other nutrients, right? And
Mm.
those help. Yeah.
Nice.
No paranthas, aloo paranthas packed up.
Yeah, aloo paratha is kind of do not work well. I think because of the gluten in it. After about
Mhm.
towards the in the second half of the race, it do not work for me. In the first half, it works in a 200 miler. I mean, I have
Interesting.
seen like, yeah. So it somehow it doesn't work. It needs more gluten-less food towards
Mm.
the other half, second half of the race primarily. I've noticed.
Would you do you calculate the calories intake from the idlis or
No,
anything?
no.
You're
I
not doing
never
that.
calculate. I never calculate calories in my training or race. I just eat, and so I did mistake in the past eating a lot. Like in specific race, I have eaten so much. I ate everything in the aid station and also everything in my drop bag, and my tummy became like a ball and did not digest anything. Like it's like Castle Peak 100K sometime back. In the I was completely functionless. All the body was trying to do is digest food. I mean, it's good you can eat food, but it doesn't mean you will eat it, right? That I have learned there. And then after I started regulating how much food I want to put in my tummy to let it digest. And once it digests, then put more other food, but not everything together into the tummy. That doesn't work for me.
Mhm. And what about would you consider like uh, peanut butter type of things? Is that a real food for you, or is that also
Peanut
processed food?
butter is kind of processed, but you know, peanut butter with bread kind of works early part of the race. Bread will not work for me in the later part of the race.
Why is that? Like
Somehow
it's
I
interesting.
try not to have glutinous food in the that do not work well for me. I like more of soup, warm food, and that kind of thing. And also, especially in a 200 miler race, you have to have protein. Because it's a long enough time for the body to crave for protein.
So idli provides you that?
Not really. It is primarily carb, but I will be also eating, drinking chicken soup and all that.
I see. You know, interestingly, although my experience with EBC was not anywhere near with your 200 miler, but towards the end, I just couldn't. I hated everything. Like initially, like dal bhat I was getting, I used to love it, and I would just towards the end, I could eat was like those fries and noodles, and they're not even good for me. And I actually started drinking soda to get some calories in, at least be able to eat or drink something.
I think
I
that
just didn't want to eat.
probably that happened because you drank soda throughout.
No,
And
I never did. I
or
don't drink soda at
in
all.
the whole act. No, I'm not saying that you drink in your regular life. I'm saying in the race, did you drink early like soda?
No.
You did
I'm
not. Okay.
talking about I'm talking about Everest Base Camp, which is in like
Yeah.
towards the
Only there did you
fourth.
have soda, like in the second half of your activity. Did you start
No,
drinking soda already?
no.
Okay, that's
No.
interesting then, because I have experimented with both, having soda early on and having not having soda at all. Not having soda at all gives leverage on other food. Other food start digesting way better whenever you are not having soda in a race altogether. Moab, I
Mm.
did not have soda altogether in the whole race, and it kept my tummy in great control throughout.
Mhm.
I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the caffeine in it. Soda has so much caffeine, and your, kidney, liver has to work with all that. Probably, I don't know. I'm not a doctor or a dietitian, anybody. It's just my finding that not having soda through a big race help with the other food that you really need more. I will not probably try having that.
Altitude makes you not feel like eating. As you get closer to EBC, you might have felt like
Yeah.
you feel like
That,
eating.
I was,
But as you come
I
down, your appetite might have come back.
it took some time to actually get back the appetite, but I hated food. I didn't want to eat anything, and so I
Yeah.
was wondering, if you had similar experiences towards the end, because you are so tired. The body is so tired. You don't want to. The body doesn't want to spend any energy even in digestion of that food, because that takes a lot of energy to digest, right?
Right. That makes sense, Anil. Thank you. Because I cannot fathom that altitude myself. I mean, haven't been to such altitude ever, so I don't know.
And also, I mean, nutrition, sleep, all those things are very individual. I mean, it's uh, you have to figure that out in training. One person's recipe won't fit everyone.
That is
So,
correct.
and also what BT is talking about, he doesn't keep track of the calories. He basically relies on eating by the feel, which comes with a lot of experience. My suggestion is, in the initial years, it's better to keep track of your calories, because until the time you understand the art of eating by the feel, it's better to just stick to a certain formula until you graduate.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
What a beautiful narration, Vipul. Really, really enjoyed your conversation, and it also felt so real, because I have struggled with all kind of aches and pains throughout my journey, and I would think that, oh my God, I would look at you guys and say, oh, you're like gods, running through with no pain and experiencing like perfect conditions, and it feels when you the way you're describing it. Maybe you're not using those words, and the choice of your words are different, and I love that. uh, it feels so real to hear your journey, and feeling cold and feeling almost hypothermic. I've gone through most of those experiences, not all, but it thank you so much for sharing it. I can
Us-
totally relate to so many of those, and
All right. Happy
feel
to
like,
hear.
oh my God, you're normal like me, and I'm not exceptionally bad experiencing all those things.
Oh, well, everybody feels pain. I mean, sometimes I think, how do the elites run so fast? Oh, well, elites, the other elites whom we look up to, we keep seeing, right? Those people feel all the pain we feel. It's just they endure more. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I cannot imagine how the elite people actually run so fast. They still feel the pain. They just endure more, and endurance is way high up. Yeah.
Awesome. Really
Right.
awesome.
All right. Great. Awesome. Glad you like it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. So, Anil, you
Anil,
can.
thank you for organizing this big talk.
Yeah, thanks all of you for joining, guys. Excellent abstracting all the concepts at a high level. I like the idea of toolkit rather
Yeah.
than how I went about training. Yeah, a lot of nuggets there. Thank you.
All right, then. Okay.
Thank
Bye,
you so
guys.
much.
Have a
Thank you.
good
People,
night.
Thank you.
next
Recording.
platform is a TED Talk for you. You're so good.
No. I'm not good. I'm just, I'm just
And
tried. I tried whatever I could.
when and or call you for the a corporate conversation, you can endure and you can go through it and keep going, motivate people.
Oh well, we'll see. Thanks. Okay, bye. Bye guys.
Bye,
Good night.
BT.
Good night.
Bye. Good
See
night.
you
Thank you,
tomorrow.
Bibel.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.
People save the recording.
Sure, I will. Okay, thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Anil. Thanks.